Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Tropical Plants of 53 Degrees North. A couple of videos ago we talked about a large Cattleya I had that needed a desperate repot. Lots of roots, lots of dead roots on it anyway, no viable new roots. And during that video I asked what could I possibly do to improve things, because it was the first time I'd ever repotted a Cattleya. And today's video coming up is all about what I learned from my subscribers. So stay tuned and you'll find out what I've learned along the way. Okay, and we're back. So first of all, this is the Cattleya in question. It was in quite a small pot, and it had roots going right over the side. They were all dead when I started to cut them away, and I have repotted it into quite a large terracotta pot, clay pot. There are some terracotta crocks in the bottom, about kind of that much, just the first few centimetres. And then the rest of it is bark, and then just a top dressing of this horticultural grit on top. There was a wire going up through the centre that's been bent over, and there was a couple more wire clips put into it just to kind of keep it in place, because there was no roots, it was just a rhizome. And I asked people what could I have done to make things different. Did I do the best that I could with it? And this is what people said. Now, apologies if I don't get through everybody, but these are the main points that got repeated and that I picked up along the way. And just before I start that, I hope people maybe have noticed, certainly in my last video, I'm shooting in 4K now, 30 frames per second, and that seems to have solved my issues of picture freeze and pixelation. So hopefully that's sorted and we can move on to something else now. So this video is going to be all about the subscribers' advice that I got and what I'm going to actually do with this, because it's not finished. I've got other work to do with it. It's only been in this pot now a few days, and I'm going to completely take it out again. I'm not going to start from scratch, but you'll see anyway. So first of all, Lucy the cat. Lucy the cat says, by way of Roger's advice is that you only repot Cattleyas when the new roots are showing. So yeah, I'm sure that's very good advice. I do wonder, but certainly, the Cattleya I had, the way that it was completely surrounded by dead roots. The whole thing was just dead roots, and there didn't seem to be anywhere where anything would come from. It had clearly flowered. It had two lovely flowers on it. So I don't know, maybe if I waited for new roots to show, that would work. It remains to be seen, doesn't it? There's certainly something that looks like new growths on this, but as of yet they've not sprouted. But it's not long since finished flowering. I think I only cut the flowers off about a week ago, the dead flowers, perhaps a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, good advice, I'm sure. Terry, TD more than just orchids, he suggests tapping the pot to settle a median place. Yeah, something I've done lots of times. Obviously didn't do it this time, but yeah, that's a good idea, good bit of advice. Annabelle from the orchid room suggests cutting some of the old back bulbs off to give more room for the new growths. Now, if you remember, we did talk about that, didn't we? I said this was something that Roger said, I'd seen on Roger's videos, that if you, I'm just trying to think where the new growths are. The new growths are on this side. I mean, they're not actually new growths yet. I can't even see them. I think they're buried underneath. But you can just see something happening down there. And I said, right, well, I'll put lots of room at this side. And then I got kind of so tied up in trying to pin the thing into place that I completely forgot what I was trying to do over here. And somehow I pushed it over. And I ended up with probably even less room on that side, more room on the side with the back bulbs on. So yeah, good advice from Annabelle, and I'm going to do that actually. That's the one thing. I'm going to take it all out again. I'm going to cut this back bit off, maybe up to there perhaps, and try and shove it back over again. So it's not a complete repot. It's just that, like she suggested, once you get to a point, because Cattleya roots do stick, don't they, to pots like this, and once I get to a point when the roots stick to the pot, which obviously is not something that's going to happen within the next couple of weeks, but I think I'll do it now while it's front of mind, and let's get it started off in the position that I want it to be in. So yeah, good advice there from Annabelle. Ruth from Canadian Haven suggests, and again this is via Ed from Ed's Orchids, that a foliar feed of Epsom salts Now, feeding plants through the leaves, I'm going to be controversial again here. I'm not absolutely convinced it works. This is not to say that people, there are people who know more than me. It's just, I've talked about this before. I like to find something that convinces me scientifically that this is what happens, or of course if I do it through experience. But it's very difficult, isn't it? If you go and spray something with a foliar feed and it grows, does that mean 100% for sure that what you've done has improved things? Because you don't know, do you? It might have happened anyway. You don't know if it's happened any quicker because of the foliar feed. It's very difficult to test scientifically. You would need hundreds, if not thousands, of identical plants of the same age, maybe clones of the same plant. Maybe some that aren't clones. You would need, very controlled scientific variables to try and find out whether the plant takes in feed via the leaves. Now, obviously, some do. I know carnivorous plants clearly take in nutrients via the leaves, but it's difficult to find anything online. You will find lots and lots of sellers of foliar feeds and lots of manufacturers of foliar feeds saying that, of course, plants take in nutrients through their leaves. I managed to find something that said most of the research is based on something from the 1950s. I also found a professor who refuted all these claims entirely, and his conclusion was that certainly the major elements cannot be absorbed by the leaves, and if anything it's only the micronutrients that get absorbed by the leaves, and even then it's not in plants that have leaves like Cattleyas, which are very thick and waxy and almost feel like plastic, don't they? So I don't know. I don't know whether it's something that works or not. I mean, maybe I should just listen to people who's been growing a long time and follow their advice and spray it regardless. But I'm more inclined to do the opposite because that's just the kind of guy I am. I'm just inclined to say, right, well, all right, let me try it for myself. It's my greenhouse, it's my plant. I'm going to try it without. Let's see what happens. My feeling is that these pseudo bulbs are similar to like a true bulb, in that everything that they need to grow is within that storage organ. That's my feeling. If you look at daffodil bulbs, which is a true bulb, they grow roots over the course of a season. You can cut the roots off and they'll still grow. Everything they need to flower, to bloom, is within that bulb, and I wonder whether it's the same with a pseudo bulb. I mean, obviously they're not a true bulb, are they? But I just wonder whether that's what happens. And in my experience so far, the other Cattleya I had, the little tiny one that had no roots on it whatsoever, and it's grown a whole new set of roots and it's got a new growth coming now, which tells me that everything that they need is in there. So it's an experiment. Let's see what happens. If I do get some roots on it, what that will tell me is that clearly everything that they need is in there. Now, whether a foliar feed would speed that process up, I don't know. Let's see how long it takes for them to happen. And then maybe people can tell me how long it would normally take, in their experience when they do feed it. So yeah, that's the foliar feed thing. Somebody else suggested it as well. I'm just trying to remember who else suggested it. I can't remember. It'll come to me. Somebody suggested CalMag, which again is a similar thing, isn't it? But obviously you've got the calcium in it as well as the magnesium. I think we've covered that. Margaret East suggested that she was told of she saw a video of someone who placed a completely no-root Cattleya, one that was like mine, placed it into broken crocks with no media at all, and it produced roots. So yeah, I've seen things like that too. A lot of Rick's orchids are in, I don't think any of them actually are in like an organic media. I think all of his are in river rocks and crocks and things like that, and his looks fantastic shape. But of course he was big on the feeding as well, wasn't he? Which, again, I've discussed about as being something that I need to get clear in my mind yet. I'm still not totally clear on that yet. Nina Boss. I'm sorry, Nina, if I got that wrong. I don't know how you pronounce your name. We'll say Boss for now. Nina Boss. She suggests this central wire that I put up the middle of the pot, hole at the bottom. She suggests keeping that upright rather than bending it over, and I think it was me bending that over that's pushed it against, that way towards the growths. So he suggested keeping that upright and then attaching it to whatever one of the new growths or one of the old leaves, just to keep it in place, and like bending over the end of the wire to stop you poking your eye out. So that was a good bit of advice as well. So I think that really covers it. So what I'm going to do today, I'll speed it up as usual, not to bore you, but I'm going to have an attempt at unhooking all this again, which it does seem I've really got it in position. It's very, very firm. I hope I can get it as firm again. I'll take out the clips and I'm going to probably take off that one and that one, just to give it that space and to move it back that way so that there's some room for some new growth to happen, and then we can leave it alone for a bit then, and hopefully we'll get some new roots on it without the foliar feed, unless I change my mind and just spray it anyway, as I am wont to do. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, let's go. There's a new growth. I'll try and get it a bit closer. Definitely a new one, definitely a new one, possibly a new one. And that's at the new end of the plant. And there are no viable roots there at the moment. So what I need to do is take out, I'm going to take that one off and that one off, and that should give me that space then, so that I can give some space for the new growth, and then I'm going to leave it alone, hopefully. So let's take this off. Close my eyes while I do it, because I don't like to destroy things. Some more dead roots. And let's see if I can take that end off too. A bit more there. Get right in there. Debating with myself whether to take that bit off. Okay, I think that'll do. So there we go again. Now what's going to happen here is that it's going to sit on some of this horticultural grit, but it doesn't really matter. It's still all good stuff. So new growths, mustn't forget. Kind of where I've put the pot, isn't it? Where I've put the wire. The wire's pushing it. Now there's the new growth. So if I move it that way, I'm going to top it up as well. Top it off with some more grit. So there's my growths. So plenty of room there. I'll try and shove that back down again. Actually, better through there. There we go. I mean, if I'm honest, that middle one, that middle wire isn't really holding it into place much. It's the crocks underneath that's stopping it from going down. These seem to be the best. going to knock these new growths off the way we're going. Bend over the top because to poke my eye out. Then I can just attach one of the old pseudo bulbs to it. And at least it's doing something useful, not just kind of sticking upright for no reason. I'd like to know where people get the thick wire from, the thick gauge wire, because I've only been able to get, I think it was 12 gauge. I was looking for 10 gauge, but I just couldn't get any. There's certainly not, well, none on Amazon anyway. Okay, what does that look like? I think that's pretty firm. I'm not sure I actually need anything else going on top there. That's alright. Sitting in place. Okay, so it's all in place. We've got new growth, new growth, new growth, loads of room around there. That's what I should have done, isn't it, in the first place? I will learn from that. So thank you everybody for your input on that. It's been great to kind of crowdsource it all the knowledge. So yeah, that's what I've learned. So I'm going to give it, I'll give it a little water. Yeah, I'm going to give it a little water. I mean, I've found clay pots anyway are really good at sucking out moisture. I've not had any problems with any clay pots in terms of anything rotting off. It's always been the plastic pots, but on the other hand, for the plastic pots you can actually see the roots, so that's quite useful. I can't see the roots here. Well, there aren't any to see, are there? So just before I go, if you just glance over here, I'll just pick you up. Can you see some lengths of wood, some battens there? So that's the next project. I'm going to move the shelves up. And I did get my calculations wrong. That actually, well, they weren't calculations, they were estimations. I estimated that to be 4 foot, it's actually 6 foot. So the warmer side is going to be 6 foot by 10, and the cooler side is going to be 8 foot by 10. So that'll actually give me a nice balance. So yeah, I'm going to film it as I go, but it's going to take me quite a while I've got to move all those plants off, move the shelves up. Which isn't easy with the bubble wrap on as well. That makes it a little bit more complicated. And I'm going to get the battens sawn to the height of the eaves, which I believe is about 5'3", and we'll get those into place, and then I'll have a look at it there and see what to do next, because honestly I don't know what my next step is going to be. And I'm going to somehow have to get some wood going up, like up into the eaves there somehow. And I could do with like a doorway as well in the middle. So anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So yeah, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give us a like, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.